Welcome to our channel dedicated to bringing life into light through inspiring quotes. Swami Vivekananda, an Indian Hindu monk, philosopher, author, religious teacher.
Take up one idea. Make that one idea your life, dream of it, think of it, live on that idea. Let the brain, the body, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success, and this is the way great spiritual giants are produced. You have to grow from the inside out. None can teach you, none can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but your own soul. In a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart. In a day, when you don't come across any problems, you can be sure that you are traveling in a wrong path. The great secret of true success, of true happiness, is this: the man or woman who asks for no return, the perfectly unselfish person, is the most successful. All power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Believe in that. Do not believe that you are weak. Do not believe that you are half-crazy lunatics, as most of us do nowadays. You can do anything and everything, without even the guidance of anyone. Stand up and express the divinity within you. The greatest religion is to be true to your own nature. Have faith in yourselves. The greatest sin is to think yourself weak. Anything that makes weak physically, intellectually and spiritually, reject it as poison. Dare to be free, dare to go as far as your thought leads, and dare to carry that out in your life. We are what our thoughts have made us, so take care about what you think. Words are secondary. Thoughts live, they travel far. Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached. They alone live, who live for others. Be not afraid of anything. You will do marvelous work. It is fearlessness that brings heaven even in a moment. All love is expansion, all selfishness is contraction. Love is therefore the only law of life. He who loves lives, he who is selfish is dying. Therefore love for love's sake, because it is the only law of life, just as you breathe to live. You cannot believe in God until you believe in yourself. Feel nothing, know nothing, do nothing, have nothing, give up all to God, and say utterly, Thy will be done. We only dream this bondage. Wake up and let it go. Neither seek nor avoid, take what comes. Strength is life, weakness is death. Expansion is life, contraction is death. Love is life, hatred is death. Comfort is no test of truth. Truth is often far from being comfortable. The fire that warms us can also consume us. It is not the fault of the fire. Learn everything that is good from others, but bring it in, and in your own way absorb it. Do not become others. Was there ever a more horrible blasphemy than the statement that all the knowledge of God is confined to this or that book? How dare men call God infinite, and yet try to compress him within the covers of a little book? Do one thing at a time, and while doing it put your whole soul into it to the exclusion of all else. Whatever you think that you will be. If you think yourself weak, weak you will be. If you think yourself strong, you will be. We are responsible for what we are, and whatever we wish ourselves to be, We have the power to make ourselves. If what we are now has been the result of our own past actions, it certainly follows that whatever we wish to be in the future can be produced by our present actions, so we have to know how to act. Ask nothing, want nothing in return. Give what you have to give, it will come back to you, but do not think of that now. All differences in this world are of degree, and not of kind, because oneness is the secret of everything. Each work has to pass through these stages: ridicule, opposition, and then acceptance. Those who think ahead of their time are sure to be misunderstood. A fool may buy all the books in the world, and they will be in his library, but he will be able to read only those that he deserves to. We reap what we sow. We are the makers of our own fate. The wind is blowing, those vessels whose sails are unfurled catch it and go forward on their way, but those which have their sails furled do not catch the wind. Is that the fault of the wind? We make our own destiny. Condemn none. If you can stretch out a helping hand, do so. If you cannot, fold your hands, bless your brothers, and let them go their own way. Books are infinite in number and time is short. The secret of knowledge is to take what is essential. Take that and try to live up to it. Never say, "Oh Lord, I am a miserable sinner." Who will help you? You are the help of the universe. What in this universe can help you? What can prevail over you? You are the God of the universe. Where can you seek for help? Never help came from anywhere but from yourself. In your ignorance, every prayer that you made and that was answered, you thought was answered by some being, but you answered the prayer yourself unknowingly. The help came from yourself, and you fondly imagined that someone was sending help to you. There is no help for you outside of yourself. You are the creator of the universe. Like the silkworm, you have built a cocoon around yourself. Who will save you? Bust your own cocoon and come out as a beautiful butterfly, as the free soul. Then alone you will see truth. Believe in yourself and the world will be at your feet. All the powers in the universe are already ours. It is we who have put our hands before our eyes and cry that it is dark. The world is the great gymnasium where we come to make ourselves strong. The only religion that ought to be taught is the religion of fearlessness. Either in this world or in the world of religion, it is true that fear is the sure cause of degradation and sin. It is fear that brings misery, fear that brings death, fear that breeds evil. And what causes fear? Ignorance of our own nature. The whole life is a succession of dreams. My ambition is to be a conscious dreamer, that is all. Education is the manifestation of perfection already existing in man. Take risks in your life. If you win, you can lead. If you lose, you can guide. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, "As long as I live, so long do I learn." That man or that society which has nothing to learn is already in the jaws of death. Do not believe a thing because you have read about it in a book. Do not believe a thing because another man has said it was true. Do not believe in words because they are hallowed by tradition. Find out the truth for yourself. Reason it out. That is realization. There is no God separate from you, no God higher than you, the real you. All the gods are little beings to you, All the ideas of God and Father in heaven are but your own reflection. God Himself is your image. God created man after His own image. That is wrong. Man creates God after his own image. That is right. Throughout the universe, we are creating gods after our own image. We create the God and fall down at His feet and worship Him, and when this dream comes, we love it. Where can we go to find God if we cannot see Him in our own hearts and in every living being? The greatest truths are the simplest things in the world, simple as your own existence. Desire, ignorance, and inequality, this is the trinity of bondage. There is no limit to the power of the human mind. The more concentrated it is, the more power is brought to bear on one point. How often does a man ruin his disciples by remaining always with them? When men are once trained, it is essential that their leader leave them, for without his absence they cannot develop themselves. Plants always remain small under a big tree. The brain and muscles must develop simultaneously. Iron nerves with an intelligent brain, and the whole world is at your feet. All knowledge that the world has ever received comes from the mind. The infinite library of the universe is in our own mind. Astrology and all these mystical things are generally signs of a weak mind. Therefore, as soon as they are becoming prominent in our minds, we should see a physician, take good food, and rest. The very reason for nature's existence is for the education of the soul. You must worship the self in Krishna, not Krishna as Krishna. Things do not grow better, they remain as they are. It is we who grow better by the changes we make in ourselves. The powers of the mind are like the rays of the sun. When they are concentrated, they illumine. The cheerful mind perseveres, and the strong mind hews its way through 1,000 difficulties. He is an atheist who does not believe in himself. The old religions said that he was an atheist who did not believe in God. The new religion says that he is an atheist who does not believe in himself. The Vedanta recognizes no sin, it only recognizes error. And the greatest error, says the Vedanta, is to say that you are weak, that you are a sinner, a miserable creature, and that you have no power and you cannot do this and that. Give up the idea that by ruling over others, you can do any good to them. But you can do just as much as you can in the case of the plant. You can supply the growing seed with the materials for the making up of its body, bringing to it the earth, the water, the air that it wants. It will take all that it wants by its own nature. It will assimilate and grow by its own nature. Be strong. You talk of ghosts and devils. We are the living devils. The sign of life is strength and growth. The sign of death is weakness. Whatever is weak, avoid. It is death. If it is strength, go down into hell and get hold of it. There is salvation only for the brave. None but the brave deserves the fair. None but the bravest deserves salvation. Even the greatest fool can accomplish a task if it were after his or her heart. But the intelligent ones are those who can convert every work into one that suits their taste. So long as the millions live in hunger and ignorance, I hold every person a traitor who, having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. The moment I have realized God sitting in the temple of every human body, the moment I stand in reverence before every human being and see God in him, that moment I am free from bondage, everything that binds vanishes, and I am free. Blessed are they whose bodies get destroyed in the service of others. Are you unselfish? That is the question. If you are, you will be perfect without reading a single religious book, without going into a single church or temple. Don't look back, forward. Infinite energy, infinite enthusiasm, infinite daring, and infinite patience, then alone can great deeds be accomplished. Truth can be stated in 1,000 different ways, yet each one can be true. Devotion to duty is the highest form of worship of God. The earth is enjoyed by heroes. This is the unfailing truth. Be a hero. Always say, I have no fear. Bless people when they revile you. Think how much good they are doing by helping to stamp out the false ego. Be not afraid of anything. You will do marvelous work. It is fear that is the great cause of misery in the world. It is fear that is the greatest of all superstitions. It is fear that is the cause of all our woes, and it is fearlessness that brings heaven even in a moment. Therefore, arise, awake and stop not until the goal is reached. This is a great fact. Strength is life, weakness is death. Strength is felicity, life eternal, immortal. Weakness is constant strain and misery. Weakness is death. Man is to become divine by realizing the divine. Idols or temples or churches or books are only the supports, the help of his spiritual childhood. All truth is eternal. Truth is nobody's property, no race, no individual can lay any exclusive claim to it. Truth is the nature of all souls. Do good because it is good to do good. Ask no more. God did not give me everything that I wanted, but He gave me everything that I needed. He who struggles is better than he who never attempts. If in this hell of a world one can bring a little joy and peace even for a day into the heart of a single person, that much alone is true. This I have learnt after suffering all my life. All else is mere moonshine. The more we come out and do good to others, the more our hearts will be purified and God will be in them. You need not worry or make yourself sleepless about the world. It will go on without you. The tapas and the other hard yogas that were practiced in other yugas do not work now. What is needed in this yuga is giving, helping others. Liberty is the first condition of growth. It is wrong, 1,000 times wrong, if any of you dares to say, I will work out the salvation of this woman or child. After every happiness comes misery. They may be far apart or near. The more advanced the soul, the more quickly does one follow the other. What we want is neither happiness nor misery. Both make us forget our true nature. Both are chains, one iron, one gold. Behind both is the Atman, who knows neither happiness nor misery. These are states, and states must ever change, but the nature of the Atman is bliss, peace, unchanging. We have not to get it, we have it, only wash away the dross and see it. The Buddhists or the Jains do not depend upon God, but the whole force of their religion is directed to the great central truth in every religion, to evolve a God out of man. They have not seen the Father, but they have seen the Son. and he that hath seen the Son hath seen the Father also. It is a very hard thing to understand, but you will come to learn in time that nothing in the universe has power over you until you allow it to exercise such a power. Talk to yourself at least once in a day, otherwise you may miss a meeting with an excellent person in this world. But there is yet time to change our ways. Give up all those old discussions, old fights about things which are meaningless, which are nonsensical in their very nature. Think of the last 600 or 700 years of degradation when grown-up men by hundreds have been discussing for years whether we should drink a glass of water with the right hand or the left, whether the hand should be washed 3 times or 4 times, whether we should gargle 5 or 6 times. What can you expect from men who pass their lives in discussing such momentous questions as these and writing most learned philosophies on them? This universe is the wreckage of the infinite on the shores of the finite. When an idea exclusively occupies the mind, it is transformed into an actual physical or mental state. The knowing ones must have pity on the ignorant. One who knows is willing to give up his body even for an end, because he knows that the body is nothing. This world will always continue to be a mixture of good and evil. Our duty is to sympathize with the weak and to love even the wrongdoer. Do not believe in a thing because you have read about it in a book. Do not believe in a thing because another man has said it was true. Do not believe in words because they are hallowed by tradition. Find out the truth for yourself. Reason it out. That is realization. Desire can be eradicated from the roots by firmly imbibing the 4 attributes of Gyan, Atmanishtha, Vairagya, Dharma and the full-fledged devotion to God. The mother and the father are the causes of this body, so a man must undergo 1,000 troubles in order to do good to them. People laugh at me because I am different. I laugh at people cause they are all the same. If a man can realize his divine nature with the help of an image, would it be right to call that a sin? Nor, even when he has passed that stage, should he call it an error. Man is not traveling from error to truth, but from truth to truth, from lower to higher truth. To him all the religions from the lowest fetishism to the highest absolutism mean so many attempts of the human soul to grasp and realize the infinite, each determined by the conditions of its birth and association, and each of these marks a stage of progress. And every soul is a young eagle soaring higher and higher, gathering more and more strength till it reaches the glorious Sunday. Why should a man be moral? Because this strengthens his will. By doing well the duty which is nearest to us, the duty which is in our hands, we make ourselves stronger. A few heart-whole, sincere, and energetic men and women can do more in a year than a mob in a century. The help which tends to make us spiritually strong is the highest help. Next to it comes intellectual help, and after that comes physical help. Be grateful to the man you help. Think of him as God. Is it not a great privilege to be allowed to worship God by helping our fellow men? We must also remember that in every little village god and every little superstitious custom is that which we are accustomed to call our religious faith. But local customs are infinite and contradictory. Which are we to obey and which not to obey? The Brahmin of southern India, for instance, would shrink in horror at the sight of another Brahman eating meat. A Brahman in the north thinks it a most glorious and holy thing to do. he kills goats by the 100 in sacrifice. If you put forward your custom, they are equally ready with theirs. Various are the customs all over India, but they are local. The greatest mistake made is that ignorant people always think that this local custom is the essence of our religion. A good practice carried to an extreme and worked in accordance with the letter of the law becomes a positive evil. The ideal man is he who, in the midst of the greatest silence and solitude, finds the intensest activity, and in the midst of the intensest activity finds the silence and solitude of the desert. Of 100 persons who take up the spiritual life, 80 turn out to be charlatans, 15 insane, and only 5, maybe, get a glimpse of the real truth. Therefore beware. Have faith in man, whether he appears to you to be a very learned one or a most ignorant one. Ignorance is the mother of all the evil and all the misery we see. Let men have light, let them be pure and spiritually strong and educated, then alone will misery cease in the world, not before. We may convert every house in the country into a charity asylum, we may fill the land with hospitals, but the misery of man will still continue to exist until man's character changes. The one great advantage of bhakti is that it is the easiest and most natural way to reach the great divine end in view. Its great disadvantage is that in its lower forms it oftentimes degenerates into hideous fanaticism. The fanatical crew in Hinduism, Mohammedanism, or Christianity have always been almost exclusively recruited from these worshippers, sick on the lower planes of bhakti. That singleness of attachment, nishtha, to a loved object, without which no genuine love can grow, is very often also the cause of the denunciation of everything else. All the weak and undeveloped minds in every religion or country have only one way of loving their own ideal, i.e., by hating every other ideal. Herein is the explanation of why the same man who is so lovingly attached to his own ideal of God, so devoted to his own ideal of religion, becomes a howling fanatic as soon as he sees or hears anything of any other ideal. God gave me nothing I wanted. He gave me everything I needed. The goal of mankind is knowledge. That is the one ideal placed before us by Eastern philosophy. Pleasure is not the goal of man, but knowledge. Pleasure and happiness come to an end. It is a mistake to suppose that pleasure is the goal. Our duty is to encourage everyone in his struggle to live up to his own highest idea and strive at the same time to make the ideal as near as possible to the truth. The will is not free, it is a phenomenon bound by cause and effect, but there is something behind the will which is free. The tender plant of spirituality will die if exposed too early to the action of a constant change of ideas and ideals. Many people, in the name of what may be called religious liberalism, may be seen feeding their idle curiosity with a continuous succession of different ideals. With them, hearing new things grows into a kind of disease, a sort of religious drink mania. They want to hear new things just by way of getting a temporary nervous excitement, and when one such exciting influence has had its effect on them, they are ready for another. Religion is with these people a sort of intellectual opium eating, and there it ends. The mind is in its own nature when it is calm. The moment you can calm it, that very moment you will know the truth. Thank you for taking the time to listen and be present here with us. Your attention and engagement mean a lot to us.